My next patron question is from the Cinematic Bandicoot, who wants to know about what should be done about a recently criticized animated character. A while ago you made a video on how Warner Brothers should rework Pepe Le Pew for modern audiences. Can you do the same for Apu from The Simpsons? He was one of the most well-developed side characters in the show, but since the release of the documentary The Problem with Apu, he's been phased out of the series for being a stereotype, in a show that's filled with stereotypes. Admittedly, some of the criticisms are understandable, like a Caucasian actor portraying an ethnic character. But what should have been the best approach in revamping this character in the series? So like the question mentioned, there was a documentary that addressed the concerns Indian Americans have towards the character of Apu in The Simpsons. I've personally not seen the documentary, so I cannot comment on it, but I do have an understanding of why there's been some criticism towards Apu in recent years. The main concern is from those who were bullied and mocked with bad Apu impressions in their youth, as he became the biggest representation of Indians on American television. And yes, going to an Indian and saying "thank you, come again" in a mock accent is a stupid thing to do. Of course, The Simpsons itself is chock full of stereotypes, as the series is meant to be a satire of modern society, particularly modern American society. Homer Simpson is pretty much the poster child of how people view the average American male, with his heavy beer drinking and other traits associated with citizens of the United States. There's also the heavily religious Christian Ned Flanders, the Scottish groundskeeper Willie, the uncaring billionaire Mr. Burns, the Jewish clown Krusty, and several others who are extreme representations of different stereotypes. These are all flawed individuals, with the writers often making jokes at their expense. That's just the nature of The Simpsons. I think the reason Apu stands out is not only because he's voiced by a white actor doing an accent of a different ethnicity, but because stupid people might decide to use him as a way to belittle someone from India. You don't see anyone going to Scottish children and doing groundskeeper Willie impressions. But, and from what I understand, this seems to be the main argument in the documentary, someone might do an imitation of Apu in front of an Indian child on the schoolyard. Now, personally, I've never thought the main joke of Apu was that he was Indian. Yes, there are episodes like one where it's revealed he had an arranged marriage, and there are references to his Hinduism and veganism. However, I always thought the main joke surrounding Apu was his frustration and annoyance that people enter his convenience store and cause a ruckus while at the same time wanting their continued patronage. And even though he is surrounded by idiots, he himself is not one, as he's frequently shown to be one of the smartest characters on the series, and he can offer the occasional advice. But of course, as someone who is not Indian, I cannot relate to the hurt someone might feel about the character. Hank Azaria himself felt bad about the possible effect his portrayal of Apu might have, and decided to step down from voicing the role. Later, the producers revealed that Apu would stop appearing, although he has been in the background a few times. I saw a few people decry this decision, and how dare the PC crowd take Azaria's job away, except he voices dozens of characters on the show, nor does he get paid based on how many roles he has per episode. I think he's going to be okay. I do think there is a way that Apu can continue to be used in The Simpsons, though. The first obvious solution is to hire an Indian actor to voice Apu, which would give him more authenticity. In the Problem with Apu documentary, Indian American actors mention how they're frequently asked to put on the Apu voice when auditioning for roles. Even Kumail Nanjiani, who is Pakistani, not Indian, has said he was subjected to that request. So just get an actual Indian to play the role, and who can bring a natural comic voice to it rather than something overly exaggerated. They could also bring in an Indian comedian to come up with a storyline that would bring him back in a way that still represents the character and his importance to Springfield. Like I said, I always felt the main joke surrounding Apu involved his running of the Kwik-E-Mart and the reaction to those who stepped in there. So that's something they can continue if he were to reappear in a speaking role. Show the contrast between someone just trying to run his business and those who come in without any respect for the difficulties of doing so, finding the humor in the retailer-shopper relationship. A joke that comes to mind is when he tells off Principal Skinner for ripping off Jurassic Park. The humor from that scene did not come from him being Indian, but instead him being baffled at what this customer is saying. Play up that more in any potential future episode. So anyway, I feel like there is a way to bring back Apu. You can address the concerns without drastically retooling the character, because the issue of him was not his behavior, like Pepe Le Pew, but instead who was voicing him, and idiots who want to mock others different from them. Thank you for your question, Cinematic Bandicoot.